Good evening, one and all present here. So I would like to welcome everyone for today's technical talk on improving soil fertility by enhancing cation exchange capacity. So I would like to express my gratitude to the management, our principal, vice principal, and our head of the department, Dr. Ilango sir, for grant of conducting this technical talk. So, and I would like to welcome the speaker of today's session. So, Mr. Ramaratnam, lecturer, Department of Civil, Government Polytechnic, DOT campus, Chennai. So, he started his education in Government Polytechnic, Tandai Periyar Institute, Government Institute of Technology, Vellore, undergraduate, and he did his master's in IIT Madras in MTech Geotechnical Engineering, and he has joined the government service in Government of Tamil Nadu and Government Polytechnic College in 2013. So from 2013 to 2015, he is serving as lecturer in Government Polytechnic College, Theni, and from 2015 to 21, he was working as lecturer in Government Polytechnic College, Uttangarai, from 2015 to 21, and from 21 to till now, he is working in DOT campus as lecturer. And during his service, he's also served as head of the department in charge, principal in charge of the institutions above said. He has also involved in other activities like AICT, sports activities of the government institution. He is a very keen encourager of students. He always encourages students in many activities, like he involves them and he molds them uh, to an extent that they excel in their life. He also teaches. He also offers free lectures in YouTube and other social medias for the betterment of students. He's always open to students for their doubts regarding civil engineering and agricultural aspects. So you could contact sir at any convenience. So he would give his details at the end of the session for the betterment of students. So I'd like to welcome you, sir, Ramaratan sir, for this guest lecture. So we are very honored to welcome you, sir.
Good evening all. Talk of the today's session is improving soil fertility by enhancing the cation exchange capacity. Actually, I chose this topic as a research work 2 years ago, but now I have shifted to some other topic. I'm just presenting the literature basics in the literature review which I have gone through. Hey friends, I am Ramaratnam. I have been introduced well already, I think. Thank you for Mohan Raj for introducing me. Let's move to the topic. The first slide, soil fertility. What is the fertility? You would have seen a lot of ads in the televisions, like the fertility centers. Fertility means nothing but creating something new, giving a growth to a new one. So ability of a soil to sustain agricultural plant growth. It is termed as soil fertility. Only when a small crop grows from a soil, then we can give the status as a fertile soil to that agricultural land. What gives the fertility to the soil? So there are around 18 essential nutrients are there. So instead of going deep into that, I just highlight NPK. Usually these nutrients are highly essential for the growth of the plant. N is nitrogen, then another one is phosphorus, then K stands for kalium, it is a Latin name, potassium. So these three nutrients are highly essential, in a higher concentration they are essential for the growth of the plants. What shall we do if the soil is infertile? So the soil need some nutrients. Shall we add some NPK rich fertilizers to the soil? If yes, You can see the picture. Even the dog will not eat whatever if feed it, we give the food for it. It just look at, just stare to us that what you have given to me. So everything what we fed even to the soil, it should be absorbed. The nutrients should get absorbed to the soil grain. What is adsorption? So what is adsorption and absorption? Absorption is nothing but something getting into the surface. The absorption is something getting stuck over the surface. For example, if you immerse a sponge duster into the water, it absorbs the water. So water gets into the duster. What does absorption mean? Adsorption means if you erase chalkboard with a sponge duster, the chalk piece powders will get stuck over the sponge. So that concept is called adsorption. So if we are applying nutrients to the soil, the nutrients should get adsorbed to the soil drains. So that capacity have to get improved in the soil. Then only the nutrients will reach the plant. Then the nutrients which are absorbed in the soil should get hold in the soil medium itself. The nutrients should get retained to the soil to make it readily available to the plant root zone for exchange. The nutrients should not get lost due to leaching. What is leaching is due to application of excess agriculture water, the essential nutrients will get eroded off from that region. So that process is called leaching. So the nutrients should get hold in the soil mass itself from getting lost due to leaching. So how the nutrients get absorbed to the soil? It is simply due to the attraction rule. That is, opposite charges attracts each other. Sir, you have shown a picture. Who is plus and who is minus in this? So I am not into this debate now. The topic: how the nutrients get adsorbed to the soil. So more negative charges in the soil attracts more positive charged nutrients. See, for example, we have 10 chairs. So within that 10 chairs, we can accommodate only 10 people. So with those 10 chairs, we cannot plan to give allocation of the seats to around 20 to 30 persons. It may not be a possible one. So we need a sufficient space to accommodate whatever the nutrients required for the plants. So by enhancing more negative charges in the soil, it attracts more positive charged nutrients, which are the cations. That is calcium, which is a 2-valent positive charged cation. Next, nitrogen, potassium. So those cations will get attracted to the negatively charged soil layers, so which will be available as readily exchangeable nutrients. So those cations should be readily exchangeable, so it should not just stuck to the soil itself. So what is CEC? The total number of cations a soil can hold is the soil CEC. So I already explained you, so that with the examples of the chairs. So the total number of cations a soil can hold is the soil CEC. The CEC is the milli equivalent of cations, which can be adsorbed in the exchangeable phase per 100 grams of soil. If we take 100 grams of soil, in that how many milli equivalent of cations are adsorbed by the soil is called as the cation exchange capacity. And what is the milli equivalent is 1/1000th of equivalent weight of the cation. So who is going to produce the negative charge? One is clay materials, Another one is humus, which is decomposed organic matter. CEC versus the clay minerals. So more clay minerals will have more negative charges. Especially the more expansive clays have higher CEC, and the presence of humus will have much higher CEC. I just present the range of CECs. The sand we will be expecting around 2 milliequivalent per 100 gram of soil, which is very less. If we have some clay minerals in the soil, we can expect more than 50 milliequivalent per 100 grams of soil. So except clayonite, because of the soil texture and the crystalline nature of the clayonite type of clays, the CEC will be around 5 to 15. For other types of clays, we can expect more than 50 milliequivalents per 100 grams of soil. Then if we add humus, the range will be much higher. We can expect 100 to 300 milliequivalents per 100 grams of soil. CEC is higher in clay, but why not for sand? What is the reason? So sand has neutral charge. So for sand particles, we can see the molecular combinations here. For sand, we can find silicon and oxygen. Whereas for clay, it contains negative charge due to the isomorphic substitution of aluminum, which is 3 plus charge, in the place of one silicon ion, which is of 4 plus charge. So you can see here, so I have left out one thing. It is Si2O4. It might be it is Si2O4. So replacing one silicon ion in clay, it got substituted as aluminum ion, which is of 3 plus charge. So it was already 4 plus charge here. So there is a deficiency of one positive charge. So it is having negative charge by its own. So by introducing clay minerals, clay particles in the soil, we can get more number of negative charges, which can attract the cations, which by the reversible action it can exchange the cations to the other medium, like to the plant's root zone. So what is cation exchange process? So cation exchange process, there are two processes which I need to explain. One is the soil with cation 1. I just named it as cation 1. Then the minerals, we are going to add like fertilizers or additional components which are already available with some cations. I am naming it as cation 2. Due to the reaction between the two components, it is going to give output as soil with the cation, which is exchanged from the mineral which we have added, plus the product with the cation which got exchanged from the soil. Now the cations between the two components have got exchanged here. So for example, soil with calcium ion, which is a 2 plus charge. So usually the exchange strength will be more for higher charged cations, that is 2 plus or 3 plus charged cations. So higher exchange capacity will be for aluminum, for calcium. So lightweight. So a single charge particle will get lesser strength during the exchange. But hydrogen is an exceptional case. It should be having the higher strength to get exchanged with the neighboring cations. So in the example, a soil with calcium as a cation in it, we are going to add ammonium sulfate as an add-on. So from that, the ammonium, the nitrogen and hydrogen cations will be absorbed to the soil, and from the soil the calcium ion is absorbed by the negatively charged sulfate. So this exchange is within the soil and the soil solution. The soil solution is prepared using the fertilizer. The soil solution is nothing but a solution which containing a fertilizer or an add-on which are going to give to the soil. So now the exchange has happened between the soil and the fertilizer. Now the second one, the process 2, the hydrogen ion in the root zone is readily available for exchange. Now the soil with the exchange cations through the process 1 is ready to get interacted with the H plus ions in the root zone. So after the reaction, the soil with H plus and sulfate ions will be exchanged, and the plant with the essential nutrients which are already absorbed by the soil due to the process 1 is now exchanged with from the soil to the plant root zone. So thus by this way the cation exchange process is taking place. So it is a repeated process. So all the cations which are exchanged with the soil and the add-ons like the fertilizers, it is always readily available to get exchanged again with the top layer of the soil. So again in turn it gets absorbed to the plant root zone and it is fed to the plants as a nutrients. So how to improve CEC? So the cation exchange capacity can be improved by adding lime. So lime it is just added to produce alkalinity in the root zone. So adding lime, it will create higher pH. So higher pH will lead to more negative charges. So hydroxyl ion will be highly concentrated there. So more negative charges will be there. So this will improve more cation exchange capacity in the root zone. Or else we can add more organic matters. Those organic matters will create more negative charges, which in turn will generate more cation exchange capacity to the soil. I have referred some of these web links. You can contact me anytime. I'm handing over to Mohan Raj. Mohan Raj, shall we start the Q&A session now?
Sir, I have a question. Like in case of agricultural field, we have two type of soil which is more problematic. We say it is acidic soil and alkaline soil.
Okay.
So starting, you said about leaching, right, sir? So
yes.
This acidic soil and alkaline soil, what is this? What effect it has on cation exchange capacity, or can we what can we do to improve that type of soil? Alkaline and acidic type of soils.
Okay. Actually, leaching is something different. Leaching is getting the essential nutrients getting eroded from the soil layers due to that excessive water. So leaching concept is different. So when we talk about the acidic and alkaline soils, so more pH, that is alkaline, the more pH level in the soil layers will generate more negative charges, so that we can attract the positive charges. We are going to giving as we are going to adding it as an input through the fertilizers. That fertilizers which is having the cations are get attracted to the soil layers by the cation exchange capacity of the soil. So in order to hold the nutrients with the soil, in the agricultural field we are adding fertilizers. Merely by adding just by adding the fertilizers, it will not get absorbed to the soil. So we need to create negative charge layers in the field. So for that one we are adding organic matters. So in the traditional period we have seen that the cow dung we will be using for that. uh, earthworm, the uh, fertilizers, organic fertilizers generated using the earthworm. So those things we will be using there. So what is the purpose of that is it will generate more negative charges there, so that the fertilizers, the nutrients in the fertilizers will get attracted to the soil. So for that one only we would have seen many things about the organic matters in the movies itself. So by adding the organic matters, we can expect higher CEC due to the higher number of negative charges. So Mohanraj sir?
Sir, one more question, sir.
Yes.
So in case of agricultural soil, so if suppose a farmer brings his soil to the lab and he asks for the type of plantation that it can be grown, and students frequently have a doubt. Okay, so whether the parameters that we are studying right now, whether we can utilize it to decide those things, to decide the plantation, or to decide upon what remedies can we give. So is there any link with this cation exchange capacity to decide upon the plantation and any other parameter regarding that?
Cation exchange capacity, it is general for all. So the types of plantation depends on the site condition, the groundwater level, and the types of soil. So based on that, we can decide what type of plantation we can use. So whatever the plantation may be, so this concept is mainly explained because the plant should get nutrients through the additional fertilizers, which is lacking in the soil layers.
Sir, one more question, sir. So,
Yes.
sir, you said about adding fertilizer, and due to addition of fertilizer, there is going to be a change in this cation exchange capacity. But in certain conditions, we do have a problem, like when we add too much of fertilizer to the soil, we find that the plantation does not grow; it dies soon when we add excess fertilizer. Is it due to the increased cation exchange capacity or something else?
No, it is not due to the cation exchange. I already told you the example of a chair. We are having 10 chairs. We can accommodate only 10 persons. So if you are adding excess persons to there, either the chair will break or the person will fall down. So same way, the required quantity of fertilizer should be added. Um, only the requirement will get absorbed to the plants. The excess may create a negative part in the plant growth, but most of the time by the process of leaching, we can expect the erosion of excess fertilizer there. So even I'll just tell you one more example. If we are having a plant if we are growing a plant at a rooftop, we will be placing some pot, and in that pot we will be placing the plant. While watering, that pot should have a small hole at the bottom or on the surfaces, so that the excess water should get expelled from the pot. Otherwise, due to the water stagnation itself, the root zone get affected. The same way, the excessive fertilizer, if it is not went away by the process of leaching, then it will create a negative reaction in the root zone, which in turn will affect the plant growth.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So I encourage the students to ask more questions on the aspect that is dealt today. And even apart from this topic, if you want any other clarification regarding the soil fertility and the soil characteristic, you could ask, sir. Also encourage the students to ask more questions or to be precise about it. Okay, so that you could gain more knowledge on these aspects. So these topics are covered under soil chemistry. So it is somewhat a difficult topic that students feel. That's why we arranged a technical talk on this. You could ask your doubts regarding this. I just want some brief explanation with respect to the water content, sir. Since clay is a negatively charged particle, due to addition of water, the water retention capacity, and in certain clay minerals like montimonite, we have more retention of water. This water content retention or the water molecules that we add, does it have any effect on this cation exchange capacity, sir? Or is it a constant parameter? Could you just brief about these water retention and cation exchange, sir?
I have already informed about that more expensive clays. I have already explained here. So in clay minerals, we can expect three major types: galenite, halite, and montmorillonite. So galenite, it will not have a higher CEC. I have already explained due to the soil grain texture, and also due to the crystalline character of the galenite type of clay. We will be having lesser CEC. But in the expensive soils like montmorillonite, it will be having a more water retention capacity, so that by preparation of a soil solution, I already explained about the soil solution. Soil solution is nothing but the fertilizer or the organic matter or the clay minerals which we are adding with the water to the plant as agricultural water. So such water getting absorbed within the pores of the clays will be get hold within the pores for a long time, and it will get reacted for more exchanges. So those negative charges will encourage more exchange of uh, the cations, so that from the bottom the water get percolated very slow in the clays to the lower layers. So with the cation exchange capacity of those soils, we can expect more retention of the nutrients within the clay, so that it can reach the plant's root zone as per the requirement. So we have given some nutrient to the plant, so it will not get nullified within the soil. It will be available within the soil like exchangeable cations. So once the plant have utilized a certain amount of nutrients, we can supply more nutrients from those type of soils.
Sir, when we add lime to soil,
Okay.
this lime causes some cementing property, right? So when you add lime in clay, it reacts chemically and it causes some cementing and binding property. Will it affect the plant growth, or will it have any influence on the plant characteristics or growth like that?
Uh, by adding a huge quantity of lime will create problems. What you are telling, what you are telling is a cementing property. It will create a blockage in the soil pores. So these and all, if we are adding in excess, if the lime which we are adding to the soil solution, if it is utilized effectively, so there won't be any problem of the sand layers. So you are telling about the cementing property. So those problems will not occur there. So by research, we have to study how much lime should be added for the effective cation exchange capacity.
Okay, sir. If we want to modify the type of soil, if we want to enrich the soil with respect to certain mineral, uh, what is the change that we need to do? Uh,
Sorry.
if suppose they need to grow some plantation with respect to, they expect the soil, they have some restriction with respect to the land area, and the minerals that is present there is not sufficient for the plant growth that they expect. And if they want such plant growth in that land area, so apart from adding fertilizer, is there any changes that they can do? Is there any physical changes or like natural change that we can do so that the mineral composition of the soil could be changed? Is it possible?
Actually, initially my research topic was improvement of soil fertility damaged due to artificial fertilizers. Actually, that was my research topic initially. Then I switched over to this improving the cation exchange capacity. So the soil is always fertile. What is happening to make the soil infertile is we are adding something to the soil to get better yield, which in turn is killing the soil itself. That is like we humans in the earlier stage, we had a good food and all our ancestors felt healthy in their lifestyle. But in our generation, we are having junk foods. So we are thinking that we are growing in the generation which is having the recent trends. But what we are having is we are degrading our health due to the inputs like those junk foods to our body. So our body, what it expects is good nutrients like plants. Our body also expect good nutrients, but what we are giving to the body is it is not highly essential for the body. So it will get converted as not properly digested food. So it only the properly digested food will get into our body, and only at that time we will feel that we are feeling healthy. The same way to the soil, to get the better yield by the advice of the neighboring farmers and all, to get the better yield, they are planning to feed the plants with the artificial fertilizers, and those fertilizers are creating a major impact in the soil fertility, and it is damaging the fertility property of the soil. Like we are getting our cells get damaged by not getting a properly digested carbohydrate. So whatever food we take, it will be properly digested, and the properly digested carbohydrate will get into our cells. So then only we can feel healthy and we will not get any body pains and all. So if we are getting not a properly digested carbohydrate, then it will cause the aging of the cells. The same way in the plant. So a proper nutrient should enter the plant root zone. If it is not a proper nutrient, then it will damage the plant's roots, and it will feel the same what we are getting now in this generation. Sir?
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for this for the explanation that you gave. So I think students could have got a very good knowledge regarding the soil characteristic and soil clay mineral, the mineral retention of the soil, and the plant growth with respect to the mineral retention and all. So I again request the students to ask more questions so that it could be beneficial for them. Okay, not only regarding this cation exchange capacity, any doubt regarding your soil characteristics and all?
Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I just have a doubt, sir.
Yes.
So this is Dia from second year Agri department, sir.
Yes.
Sir, to increase the
You
yield
are a
of
student
soil.
or faculty?
Student, sir. Sir, to increase the yield of soil, we will be adding fertilizers. So over a period of time, due to the continuous addition of fertilizers, won't the soil fertility will be affected? So how will the affected soil be treated again to use the soil for growing plants, sir?
The proper nutrition should reach the plant. If it is not a proper one, then it will affect the plant growth also, as well as the soil's nature of yielding soil's yielding capacity. If you are giving a good food for your next generation, then you can compare the example of the fertility problem with the human also. Earlier it was not a case. Now we are facing a lot of fertility issues with the human population. This is because of the not proper nutrition is fed to the human being. So that is the main reason for the infertility for this generation of people. The same way for the plants, if we are giving a good nutrition, so merely just by adding a fertilizer, if it is an organic one, then we can expect a good nutrition to the plants. If we are adding artificial fertilizers with the aim of higher yield, surely it is going to get affected regarding the yield. I'm not against the artificial fertilizers, we can use it, but it should be within the limit which is prescribed by the researchers who have introduced those artificial fertilizers.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a small question. Mageshwari from Agriculture. So we are saying that because of using artificial fertilizers, so the soil is getting degraded, and once if you are that is because only of artificial things. Otherwise, nowadays because of some industrial waste, or even though agricultural waste from other fields is also polluting the soil, so that is because of the water which is coming out from that is also polluting the soil. So whether if I'm using instead of artificial fertilizers, if I'm going for manures, which is natural fertilizers, whether how much time it will be taken for that soil to regain its strength. Otherwise it cannot be happen, even though if you are changing from artificial to natural, even though the soil cannot gain the strength again. Is that like that? So just I want to know.
Actually, first one, I already told that I am not against the artificial fertilizer. What I am telling is we have to use optimum content. While using the artificial fertilizers, we have to use optimum content. If you are using beyond that limit, surely it will going to affect the soil characteristics. So we have to. What is the purpose of agricultural learning is nowadays the course is very popular among the students. This is because the use of artificial fertilizers should be as per the requirement. For example, a doctor is prescribing a paracetamol tablet. He will be prescribing a 650 mg tablet 6 hours once, so we can use thrice a day. So instead of using within that limit, if we take more tablets, so for example, I am having heavy fever, so for that I am taking 2 tablets at a time. So it will cause a problem to me. Only the doctor knows how much should be taken. I am not a doctor, so I feel that I am getting problem with my body, so I am getting extra tablets to get my fever reduced. So by the same way, to get the farmers who expect higher yield alone, he may not be knowing about the artificial fertilizers, he may not be having the proper knowledge about the content in that. So what he expects is by adding more fertilizer, we can get more yield, which you would have learned from the neighboring farmers and all. So he is going to implement it. He may get higher yield at the time also, but due to excessive usage of artificial fertilizers beyond the optimum limit, the soil characteristics would have been lost there. So by later cultivation period, in the later cultivation period, we can expect the degradation in the soil yield capacity. So by that way, I am telling that artificial fertilizers is creating negative impact on the soils. I am not telling that purely the artificial fertilizers is the problem. we have to use it in an optimum level. If you are using it on that in that level, we can expect a good yield in the soil. There won't be any damage to the soils and all. And in case of man-use, I can explain with an example. We are having a small fever. We are just taking paracetamol and taking rest at home. After 3-4 days, we suspect that it is a COVID. Then what we will do? We will go to the doctor. He will say, why you have not come in the initial stage itself. So this will be the problem when we are shifting from artificial fertilizer to the manure. So degrading the soil for so many days by using those fertilizers without any proper knowledge. Now we are shifting to the manures, means then it will take more time to for its recovery.
But it will get recover.
Yes, ma'am.
No, sir. But it will
Yes.
take some lot of time. So
Yes.
whether this is the case when you are going for this industrial waste, because you are saying that the farmers are not using the proper amount of fertilizer in their field. But when I have some knowledge, like when we are studying, that is not only because of the particular farmer who is adding fertilizer in the field. Sir, sometimes there may be the cases that because when you are going for the irrigation purpose, it was like that the water will be also coming from the nearby field will also go to the other field, like that. So that is the case, because when the fertilizer is more, the leaching operation will definitely takes place. So because of that, the fertilizer will be also there in the water itself. So if this is the case, even though the farmer is using the proper fertilizer in his or her field, but anyhow, because of the fertilizer which is coming from the water will also added to that another field, no, sir. So that is also the case, no. So in that case, how can we prevent it? Is there anything we can do?
Okay, instead of explaining for this one, I am just telling a small. I am just giving a small narration. Now we are during the cultivation process. What we are doing is uh, we are just looking into the ground. What is the growth of the plant? We are measuring it. We are going in a like a theoretical way. Now this generation, if our students, even me, I don't know how to measure the growth of the plant now. But earlier, what they have did is, without seeing the crop, by their own experience, they will judge what would have happened there, how much water should be supplied to the plant, what should be added to the plant, in which date the plant will start yielding the products. This and all. In the earlier generation, farmers have have known by their experience and have learned from their ancestors properly. But now we are not having proper knowledge. What I can say is we are not having proper knowledge like them. For that only we are facing such issues. So they would have understood the same concept which you have told, that the neighboring land water also enter our land. The same concepts and all. The earlier stage farmers would have thought, and they have practiced well in the agricultural field. But now we are not planning in advance. We are just following what what are taught to us, but we are not learning from the actual occurrence now. But they have learned from the actual occurrence, and they have followed what their ancestor thought. Am I clear to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are right. So that is the lagging for us nowadays, I think so. You are right,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, can we conclude the session, sir?
Yes, sir.
So I would.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
I would thank Mr. Mohan Raj, who have given an opportunity to interact with you all. Actually, I was an academician earlier. Now I am an administrator. So now I am not having an opportunity to interact with the students right now. But by utilizing this opportunity, I have got a great pleasure to again getting the chance for the interaction with the students. So thank you for the institution management, for institution administration, and all the staff members and students for giving me a great opportunity back as an academician. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to the management, principal, vice principal, and HOD sir for granting this technical talk to be conducted. And I would like to thank the faculties and students who have cooperated throughout the session for smooth conduct of this session. So thank you one and all. We could conclude the session. Thank you.